You're watching the Nation Network with your host, Vince McSham. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Nation Network. I am your host, Vince McSham. And this is What's News, where we're going to go over some of the stuff that's been happening here earlier in the week. I think we'll take care of the two WWE shows. I know the AEW thing is going on now, and I'll fast forward through most of that after the commercials are at least halfway done. It's very hard for me to sit through those shows right now with AEW. I just feel like they've taken a lot of steps backwards, and this whole fiasco with CM Punk and everybody else hasn't really helped matters any. PFW's in the house. Thank you so much for the like and the share, wrestling purist. Greetings from Italy. So let's get into this. Actually, before we do the Monday night recap, we're going to do something a little bit different here. The PWI Top 500 list came out, and apparently there's some people not too happy. Which way do we want to go? I'll tell you what, we're going to start with the top 20. First, let's see who made number 500. Who's the last one to make the cut? Guy I never heard of before named Dustin Wilson. Congratulations, Dustin. You made the top 500. And as I look down the list, I don't recognize most of these names in the 500 bracket. We've got Stan Styles. Okay, whatever. Rob Radke, Josh Fuller, Miles Millennium, Big Game Leroy. I like the name anyway. Sonico, Jocelyn Navarro. I'm waiting to get to a name I at least know. Isaiah Cassidy sounds familiar, but I can't place him. Jax Dane. All right, Jax Dane from the NWA made number 487. Evil Uno's coming in at 481. Huh. All right, let's get us up to the top 20. I'm not going to spend all day on this. Maybe we'll do a separate stream just examining the top 500 by itself. Oh, I'm already loving this. This is a joke. This is an absolute joke. At number 20, Drew McIntyre. Come on. Drew McIntyre doesn't make the top 10 or even 15. Come on. And who's ahead of Drew McIntyre, right? The guy who hasn't even wrestled but one match, maybe two matches in the last 9 months, Kenny Omega. Somebody's smoking crack when they put this list together. Adam Cole at 18. Seth Rollins at 17. And people have lost their minds over that. Let's see what's ahead of him before I lose my mind. Okay, I'm already pissed off again. MJF at 16. Granted, he sat out 4 months, but if you're going to put Kenny Omega ahead of Drew McIntyre, then you're sure as hell going to put MJF further up the card. And who's ahead of MJF? Hiroshi Tanahashi. I don't watch enough Japanese wrestling to say for sure, but I think MJF needs to be a little higher up than that. Who's ahead of MJF? Another guy who hasn't wrestled a whole lot in the last several months due to injury, Matt Cardona. And I love Matt Cardona. Huge fan. But if we're talking about, I mean, what makes your top 500 list happen? What are these guys taking into account? Because if you're talking about who's selling time and who's putting, pay-per-view buys together, MJF is a ticket seller. More so than a lot of these names on the list. And they're all talented. I mean, you don't make the top 20 and not have talent. John Moxley is ahead of MJF. And, Josh Alexander I skipped over by accident. He was number 14. Your Impact World Champion coming in at 14. Moxley comes in at 12. Whatever. Shingo Takagi. I don't know this. Sorry, again, I don't do a lot of Japanese wrestling. But he came in at 11. Jonathan Gresham. All right, we're going to pause for a moment. Jonathan Gresham is ranked number 10. He makes the top 10 over Josh Alexander, a world champion, over Moxley, a two-time world champion, almost 3, over MJF. Jonathan Gresham over MJF. In what world, what universe does that happen in? Jonathan Gresham, 7 ahead of Seth Rollins. And Drew McIntyre. This is Somebody was watching Breaking Bad and smoking crack and then decided to make a top 500 list. I am convinced already. You're shitting me. Am I looking at the right year? It said 2020. Hold on. 2022. I'm on the wrong year, I'm thinking, but I'm not. Number 9, Big E. What the fuck? Big E hasn't been in the ring in forever. Ahead of Big E is El Hijo del. Don't know. 7 is Bryan Danielson. 6 is Cody Rhodes. 5 is Bobby Lashley. 4 is Hangman Adam Page. Yo, you guys are drinking, smoking, doing it all, man. Number 3, CM Punk. Number 2, Kazuchika Okada. And number 1, Roman Reigns. I'll take Okada at number 2, even though I don't know a lot about him. I do know he's had a lot of big matches. I know he's been champion. Okay, CM Punk, yeah, he's been injured a whole lot. He hasn't wrestled a whole lot. I don't know. Adam Page, get him the hell out of the top 20. Stop it. You got Jonathan Gresham and Adam Page ahead of Josh Alexander, who's a current world champion, against MJF, who's the hottest ticket in town and has been. It's not a recent development. You got Kenny Omega and Drew McIntyre, respectively, at 19 and 20. And Adam Page at number 4. Whoever made this list should never be allowed to make a list again. That's all I'm going to say. And boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. They grade from a certain point. Okay, what point would that be? Help me understand. Because all I see is drug addicts. That list is such a hot mess on so many levels. Let me get this higher so I can sit up straight. Yeah, I'm with you, Purist. I don't know who wrote this horseshit, but it is horseshit. All right, let's break away from that for just a moment if we can, because I'm going to lose sleep now that I've actually read that. I see what people are upset about. I'm upset, and I don't give a shit. All right, let's take a look at what happened on Monday Night Raw. I thought it was a pretty good show overall. The Judgment Day getting together with Dominic and another injury angle for Edge. Here's the deal. You know, Edge only has certain dates that he's going to wrestle, and he's got to wind it down a little bit as he's late in his career. I get all that. But when you keep writing them out over and over again the same exact way, it gets tiresome. And another injury angle. It's like, been there, done that. Come up with something else. You know, have him go nuts and attack them with a steel chair or something like that and get suspended indefinitely. But doing the same thing over and over again, it's a tough pill to swallow, I think. But the match itself wasn't too bad. Wasn't great. Wasn't too bad. Earlier on the night, Finn Balor went up against Matt Riddle. It is what it is. I just have a hard time caring about Matt Riddle. He's a good in-ring performer, don't get me wrong. But that whole bruh thing, it just pisses me off, quite frankly. I find it insulting and just not something I'm behind. We move along to the ladies. So as the heading says, we're going to talk about what's right and what's wrong. What the hell's wrong with this picture? A number of things. Dakota Kai and Io Sky defeat Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah to win the WWF Women's Tag Team Championship. Here's what's wrong with that. They only won the damn thing 2 weeks ago, and you're supposed to be trying to build the tag team division. And you're not going to do that by hot potatoing the tag team titles, number one. Number two, they never should have won them. Everyone knows that Control was supposed to win them and should have won them. And you can't give me a good reason why they didn't. Back at Clash at the Castle. And not for anything, I want to preface this next thing by saying I really like Aaliyah and her look. I think she's adorable. There's a lot to be had there. I can see from a merch standpoint where, you know, put that face on t-shirts, it will sell. But she's up on the big time way too soon. She is not there yet. every time I see her in a ring in a match, her opponents are so obvious that they're like, oh, okay, we're going to do this spot now. And they're like queuing up for it. And she's always a step behind. It's like she's not sure of her timing, or maybe her timing's just off a little bit. But every match she's involved in that I have seen has been awkward at best. And I just think she'll do a lot better going down to NXT and getting some more reps in. I just think Raw is too early for her. That's my own opinion. Happy that Damage Control has the tag team titles. They should have had them from the beginning, and they better hold on to them for at least a year, which is going to be tough if Bianca, or not Bianca, but if Sasha and Naomi come back as a team, because then you almost have to want them to get them back. At least have that feud go 7 to 8 months before they get the titles back. Johnny Gargano went up against Chad Gable. Shoosh! Gargano actually did an interview recently and was talking about how when he stepped away from wrestling for a while, he was planning to take a year off and started eating real food again, started getting fat. And then when he decided to come back, he had to do some massive, getting back in shape. But he's also found that, he didn't have to starve himself anymore like he had been doing in the past, which I don't get why you'd want to do that anyway. You're a smaller guy. You got to beef up. If nothing else, for your own protection. Johnny Gargano gets the win over Chad Gable. I'd like to see Chad win a little bit more often because he's got a good shtick. He's a great wrestler. The shoosh thing is way over. And I'd like to see him be in more singles stuff without having to have his colleague there at ringside. But, again, this is just me. Bianca Belair, surprise, gets the win over Sonya Deville. Who didn't know that? To retain the Raw Women's Championship. I don't think there was ever a question that was going to be the outcome. I thought the two ladies put on a pretty good match. It is what it is. Some shout-outs here, everybody in the house. Who's in the house? Walter Johnson's in the house joining us. Welcome aboard. JH says from 2001, 21, to 22. Even using that, you can't explain that top 20. You can't justify it. Yeah, I agree. This is some lazy booking. You got to come up with something else. You have to. All right, back to Raw. Almost. I missed this one. I must have fast-forwarded. Yeah, defeated local competitors in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Who even cares? I mean, there's no upside to that guy. None. There's nothing you're going to do with him. Prove me wrong. I dare you. Edge defeated Dominic Mysterio via disqualification and gets blown out the door with the injury angle, and we'll see him in a few months. Probably at the Royal Rumble is my guess. Could be sooner, but we'll see. I'll tell you what I'm loving about the Judgment Day, and that is the relationship that's going on between Rhea Ripley and Dominic. I love it. I think it's perfectly done. I feel a good chemistry between those two. She has legitimized him because let's look at this kid. He looks like a baby face, literally. I mean, he's got a baby face. But with her there, with that badass bitch thing that she's got going on, it works. The way she controls him and has his mind manipulated. I love that part of the Judgment Day the most. I like the Judgment Day overall, but that relationship has legitimized him a lot more. Him just joining the Judgment Day didn't make him a badass, and he's not a badass, but he's got an element of respect that he wouldn't have had simply because of the relationship those two have going on. That I look forward to. I look forward to that, and I see a lot of positive stuff to look forward to with it moving forward. All right, let's move along. Let me check in real quick and see if anybody's got anything else here. Yeah, Big E was champ before he broke his neck. He wasn't a champ when he broke his neck, but he was beforehand. But all the more reason. I mean, when did the injury take place? He's missed most of that timeline that you posted up there from 2021 to June of 2022. He's been out with that injury for the majority of that. So how do you put him that high up? Well, here's the difference between old Andre and what's his name? Almost. Andre was over. Andre was a legit giant. Andre back in hit. Let's put it this way. You take Andre the Giant and go back in time to when he was, how old is Almost? He's in his late 20s, 30, somewhere in there. You look at Andre the Giant when he's in his late 20s, he was throwing drop kicks. It's a fact. Andre was throwing friggin' drop kicks. Andre was a legit giant. He had the look, he had the voice, and it worked. And he could wrestle in his own way. I mean, if you're only judging him by his last year or two in the ring, then yeah, that's not Andre at his best by any stretch. Yeah, I don't see Dominic wearing the mask. I think there's a reason. He's 28. All right, thank you right there. Okay, so there's my whole issue. I challenge you guys. Go look, if you haven't already seen Andre the Giant when he was 28. You'll find, I'm trying to think what year he started wrestling in, somewhere near in the 70s. Because he was on the $6 Million Man, and that was back in probably 77. Whenever that show ran, it was season 2, I believe, that they brought him in as Bigfoot. So at that point in time, he was already a recognized name in wrestling. So you look at his matches from, let's say, 75, you're going to see him throwing drop kicks, flying cross body blocks. I mean, and he was huge. But Almost is just so elegante. I would watch 2 Yeti matches before watching an Almost match. And if that doesn't make my point, I don't know what other way I can do it. He don't look 28. He's big. I mean, it's hard for anyone to look young when you're 7 foot whatever. Anyway, let's move on to NXT, which I did watch. I'm starting to watch it a little bit more. And if anyone hasn't seen NXT, stick around. It gets interesting. Pretty Deadly. I have a hard time watching them. Although they didn't do bad. I just don't like the gimmick. I'm just not into it. And I'm trying to figure out how they get away with it. Because now with all of the political correctness and everything, how do you get to play that role and not have the LGBTQ plus 510 whatever committee picketing outside the arena? Anyway, Pretty Deadly defeated the Creed brothers. This was the first time I watched the Creed brothers in a match. I'd heard the names, hadn't seen them. And I wish I'd seen them in a match that wasn't a steel cage, because you don't really get a match that way. You had all 4 men legal at the same time, and it was a little bit chaotic and all that kind of stuff. But what I did see of them, I was actually really impressed. So I might have to go back and do my own homework on them. Definitely had a Steiner type vibe going on, and I would love and could see totally, if maybe it's already happened, I don't know, to see the Creeds teaming up with Braun Breaker for a 6-man tag match against anybody you want to put them against. I wouldn't mind seeing them go up against, I don't know, maybe put them up against the Roman Empire. That'll work. Gets the 3 Uso brothers now that they're all together. That'd be a cool match. Anyway, Pretty Deadly managed to maintain their titles inside the steel cage. A little bit of shenanigans at ringside going on with what's his name there? Their outside interference buddy, whose name I can't think of at the moment. But anyway, he got involved on the cage and ended up handcuffing one of the brothers to the top of the cage, and it became a 2-on-1, made a gallant effort, and came up on the short end of the stick. Fallon Henley, who I'd never seen before, but I'll tell you right now, she is cute. Went up against Lash Legend, and also hadn't seen her before. Match was okay. It's NXT, so you're going to have the learning curve, and there's some more learning to be done there. But I definitely was a fan of Fallon Henley. I liked what I saw, not just because she's a good-looking girl, but I thought she's, for the most part, was pretty good. I think her kicks looked a little soft and predictable, but other than that, I thought she put on a pretty decent match. We had Mandy doing her promo, gets cut off by Alba Fire, who I know nothing about. Didn't seem like she was getting over with the crowd. Has a very hard accent. There was a couple times where you had to actually kind of in your mind listen back to what she said to figure out what she said. I believe she's from Ireland, if I'm not mistaken, or Scotland, one or the other. We'll see. It didn't sound like she got any kind of a pop. She had a big intro, had all the bells and whistles there, but I didn't hear a crowd reaction, so time will tell if that happens or not for her. Okay, Quincy Elliott. Oh, Quincy goes back to what I said about the first match. Now, in his case, he may very well be gay, in which case then he gets the pass. He's allowed to do it. I don't believe for a moment that Pretty Deadly are actually gay, even though they kind of portray themselves as that. Which, again, comes back to when is this social media crowd going to come in and cancel them and threaten to boycott and picket and all that other crap because we're not allowed to just have fun anymore. Anyway, Quincy Elliott got a win over Sean Gallagher. Congratulations on the win. Cameron Grimes, for some reason, and I may have missed it in a fast forward through commercial break, was going up against Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo, 2 against 1. Joe Gacy comes out to help him. Now, I have not really watched a Joe Gacy match. I'm going to have to change that because I loved this guy in the ring. I thought he moved so smooth. His timing was spot on. Everything he did looked good. So, and he has a good look. I can watch a Joe Gacy match. Matter of fact, I'm going to go look and find me one that really showcases his talent even more than this. But I thought he did a hell of a job in this one, showcasing his own talent. Went back and forth, of course. Gacy ends up interjecting himself into the match. Cameron didn't want it, didn't ask for it, kind of thing. So Gacy at the end says, "Fuck you," and lets him have it. You don't appreciate me? That's okay. I'll take care of you later. Lashley is close to 50. Is that true? How close is he? I mean, yeah, I would have thought he might have been 42. I mean, not only does his face still look the same, his physique. God bless him. They are flamboyant. Well, all I can tell you is when you're flamboyant like that, where I come from, generally speaking, you're considered to be gay. Whether or not they are, well, I don't think they are, and that's the whole thing. I can see where today's political correctness, society, and cancel culture would say, oh, they are mocking the gay community. That is an insult, and that they would just make an issue of it. And Lashley is 46. And he's still 4 years away from 50, but yeah, I mean, looks great. Looks great. I just, for them, I think they're going to run into trouble with that. I don't know if the WWE is going to kneel down for it. Hope they don't. All right, we move along. Zoe Stark, who I'd never seen before, and my girl Nikita Lyons, who I haven't seen enough of, go up and against and defeat Kiana James and Ariana Grace. Didn't know any of those other names, only Nikita Lyons, and damn, she still looks fine. And always considered, I just really see a massive upside for her. She's got such a great look, and her stuff in the ring looks pretty damn good. I mean, she's a legit fighter. You can tell by the way she moves. She knows her shit. It was pretty cool. Speaking of some of the little promo spots that they did in the back, there was one with somebody else I never saw before, Wendy Chu. It was actually kind of entertaining, and I didn't think it would be. I mean, she's got this little baby outfit thing going on, and they're even mocking her about it, and I was like, oh god, it's gonna be stupid as hell. And it was, but it was funny. It was actually entertaining stupid. So I can do with some Wendy Chu. Gonna make a t-shirt of that, right? Hank Walker defeated Javier Bernal. Again, didn't know these guys at all. Thought the match was all right. Carmelo Hayes was supposed to go up against Wes Lee. That didn't happen because old Wes got his ass kicked in the locker room. And that, let me tell you what, I'm still not sure how they pulled that off, because that is the most realistic beatdown I have ever seen in wrestling, bar none. They put that man's head in the locker. His arms were nowhere near protecting himself, and they slammed that door not once, but at least twice, if not 3 times. It looked legit. Even the beatdown that led up to it looked good. So credit to them. I mean, they did an absolutely phenomenal job with that. Zoe Stark had torn her ACL and was out for a while. Again, I've never seen her before. I'm going to have to watch a few more matches to have a really strong opinion of her. I've seen Nikita Lyons wrestle several times, so I already had my opinion on that, and I do see her going up to the main roster probably sooner rather than later. So with Wes Lee not being able to wrestle in the match against Carmelo Hayes for the North American title, and Carmelo held that title for a very long time. I don't remember how long exactly. I'm sure one of you guys does. But Solo Sikoa ends up coming out as the opponent and gets the win to take the NXT North American title. Interesting, because I thought Solo was pretty much now partnered up on SmackDown with his brothers. Are they going to be bringing that title up there to SmackDown, or is he going to be bouncing back and forth between the 2 promotions, which is a busy friggin' schedule? Time will tell, I guess. We'll find out how that turns out. And as we talk about how things turn out, what do we have here? Wendy Chu was that old lady who was with Boo and Xia Li. I only know Xia Li because she was in the video game. I have not seen... I saw maybe one of her matches in recent weeks. And Boo, I don't even know who Boo is. Like I said, I have not watched a lot of NXT until recently. Now that the adults are back in control and we've got people that have good creative going on, I'll start watching it again. And I know that they have the adults in control, and I know they have good creative going on because they prove it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, here's how the show went off the air. Yeah, that was it right there. The NXT black and gold logo is back. And people are buzzing about that. I was happy to see it. I've been calling for that from the beginning. Anyone who watches this channel knows I was not a fan of the Saturday morning splash, as I refer to it. Mai Ying. That name sounds vaguely familiar, but again, I just hadn't watched much of the product, so didn't know it. What about you guys? Are you excited about the NXT going back to some form of black and gold? And I believe next week they're taking the week off, and then the week after they'll be back. So I'm guessing they're going to be revamping the arena, it looks like. I mean, look, a lot of fans like this arena. I'm not one of them, but okay. I honestly think you could use it as like a B show or a C show, whatever you want. I guess that is the C show. A D show. NXT developmental talent to put them on like Saturday morning TV. Put them on the network on Saturday mornings. Because it just reeks of a Saturday morning vibe to me. All right. In case you didn't hear or check out one of our recent streams here, happy to announce that we have rescheduled ODB, and she'll be with us this coming Tuesday. So,
this Tuesday, August 30th, the Nation Network is invaded.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's
Jesse,
up? It's Jesse,
ODB, Creasa,
one dirty bitch.
I got big news, guys.
Find out what happens when Vince McMahon goes one-on-one with ODB.
That's right.
Jesse,
The ODB wrote a
motherfucking
book.
Sharing stories about her career and the life after wrestling.
It's been a hell of a journey. It's awesome to finally make a dream come true, and it's all because of you guys.
Pre-order her new book and qualify for possible gifts, including signed ring gear, ring-worn apparel, and 8x10.
Wrestling's been half my life, and I'm excited to share some little dirt in there. You guys are going to get a kick out of this book. It's funny, and it's me writing it all through my eyes. And yes, if you're a bitch or a dick to me, I'm calling your ass out. Love you all. Thank you for all the support.
Bam! See what happens this Tuesday, August 30th, when ODB invades the Nation Network.
Yep, that'll be this Tuesday, sometime either 6:30 or 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'll know very soon, probably by Saturday or Sunday, the latest. And yeah, looking forward to this very much. She's got the book coming out. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the career. You guys have any questions, jot them down in the comment section. We'll work them in. And it's going to be a good time because I can tell you right now, she does not hold back when she talks. And no reason to now, right? She's pretty much retired from in-ring. She's got her food truck. If you've never seen this thing, I'll get pictures of it to post up as we do the interview. It is amazing. It is a large food truck like you'd see anywhere else. Bright red with some really good animated versions of her painted on it. ODB on the side. And it says meet and greet. And it's MEAT. Meet and greet. She does a lot of pulled pork sandwiches and that kind of barbecue stuff, things like that. And if you're in the Minnesota area, she's traveling around quite a bit with that truck. So you can possibly stop by and get you some. All right. Well, hey, this is the wrap up so far for the first half of the week. Overall, I think the WWE did a pretty good job with both shows. I thought they did a really good job of finishing the NXT 2.0 brand and bringing us back where we needed to be. So glad they did that. Really, really glad. It kind of kicks a little something to the side, though. Back when Trips was dealing with his health issues and they went and gutted his NXT and turned it into this bastardization that we see today, they had asked him, what do you think about this? And he's like, no, it was time for change. It needed to change and all that. And, towing the company line, saying the things you had to say. Clearly, he didn't really mean that. The fact that he's going to go back to black and gold proves he didn't mean that. And I agree with him that was a mistake. It was a huge mistake. It didn't help them in any way that I can ascertain. So I am happy to see them going back to something that's going to look like real wrestling again and not some kid's makeshift comic book explosion. But again, that's just me. Some people liked it. All right. That's going to wrap us up. Thank you guys again. I'm going to go check out some AEW now that I can fast forward through commercials and probably a few matches that I don't want to see. And in another couple of days, we'll be back with some more What's Up, and we'll talk about what's happening with that as well. The Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500. At this point, I don't even want to go. I was going to do a separate stream for that. Hell no. That's a hot mess. That is a hot mess. Unjustifiable in my book. And let's see, this Saturday, what do we got going on Saturday? Today we did earlier on. If you didn't see it, you can check it out on In Demand. We did the classic call of NWA television programming based on the outcomes of the Superstar Pro Wrestling game. You guys seem to like that, so we're going to do that as a regular series on Wednesdays at 6:05. It won't always be the NWA, but that's the time slot I'm trying to work it into. And Saturday, we're going to have our PWI magazine review. That's what we've got going on. So we're going to review the magazines. But if we have people that are interested in jumping in, we can do a competition based on the magazine itself. And the winner will get some sort of prizes. So we got to come up with at least 3 people to compete. And if we can get enough different people on a weekly basis, then we can kind of have a tournament out of that. You know, the winners from week 1 and week 2 and maybe week 3, and then have them go head to head. That'd be cool. So if you think you know wrestling, then maybe on Saturday, also at 6 o'clock p.m., not 6:05, 5 minutes earlier. But come on Saturday, we'll get the PWI magazine that I will randomly select from a very large stash that I have. And we'll go head to head and see what you guys know against each other. It'll be a good time. Good time. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe, and I'll see you again ringside as soon as possible. This is Vince McSham for the Nation Network saying so long and good night.